Now, Senator Rand Paul is continuing to criticize Dr. Anthony Fauci over what he says is an elitist attitude regarding the science of vaccinations. One America's John Hines has more from Capitol Hill.
I was wondering, what do you suppose, is there a possibility that Dr. Fauci could be held accountable for his less than truthful testimony before, I think, your committee and others?
I think he'll write it off as a difference of opinion. I think, though, that many people in the public are beginning to doubt his words. I don't think he's been honest on so many things, from masks to the danger or lack of danger for certain age groups. He hasn't been forthright on natural immunity, whether you need to take a vaccine if you've already had the disease, which I think the science clearly says you really don't require a vaccination if you've already had the disease. Maybe in an older category there might be some question, but particularly for young people, you know, if he were honest, he'd come out and say if your 15-year-old kid got it, he doesn't need to be vaccinated. That's absolutely true. But instead, he's sort of, I must tell them what they need to do, not the truth. I must tell them the truth they can handle because these lesser mortals cannot understand this. And that's what his view of. It's very much an elitism that he wants everybody to be vaccinated so sincerely that he thinks that's good to have everybody vaccinated, but he's willing to lie to you to get you to be vaccinated. He's willing to lie to parents of a 10-year-old and say, oh yes, the odds are much greater of them being hurt by the disease than the vaccine. I'm not saying the vaccine is dangerous. I'm saying the vaccine is very, very safe with very few complications, but the disease is very, very few complications too for kids. So honestly, we ought to weigh them. I want to know, what's the evidence on myocarditis in kids? Is it 1 in 100,000 or 1 in a million? If it's 1 in 100,000 and my chances for my child to get this are 1 in a million, do I really want to, even for something rare, take a vaccine that I don't think my kid needs? So, and I think that goes with some of the hesitancy of people because the government's not been honest with them. They start to think, well, maybe I don't trust the government anymore if they're not going to be honest with me on this. So I think he'd do better with getting more people to be vaccinated if he were honest. Because the biggest honest thing that I'll say on your network or any other network is that people over 65, the disease is bad. And I think it's better to take the vaccine than not if you're over 65. I would do it. Over 40 and overweight, I would do it if you haven't been infected previously. And we still have some of those who haven't. About 15% haven't. And I think it is worthwhile to go ahead and take the vaccine if you're over 65 or overweight and over 40.
In your committee hearing, I know you talked to the former president of the American Medical Association, it's Dr. Susan Bailey, I believe, who was under the impression that natural immunity, having acquired from having had the virus, she said was not sufficient. You pointed out, I think, that there were a couple of studies which contradict that. Given that someone like that would be confused on the point, is this because of information being put out still by the NIH and Dr. Fauci, which may be confusing people? What do you think about that?
It's hard to tell why the former president of the AMA wouldn't know this knowledge. When you're there, though, it's kind of like a pep rally. It's a pep rally for getting everybody to take the vaccine and why everybody should do it. It's not a thoughtful presentation about these are the risks and benefits, and this is why your risks of the disease are much greater. There's such a strong case for that over 65 or overweight and over 40. There's a strong case. The disease is much worse than any kind of thing you could get from the vaccine, even if there are complications from the vaccine. When you get down to 10 years of age, 12, 15, 20, 25, the death rate's 1 in a million. So they have a much greater burden. And they shouldn't just tell us don't think about it, get vaccinated. That's what they're doing. So they're not wanting to think about natural immunity. They don't even read any of the articles. They don't even collect the statistics. When Dr. Fauci's been asked how many people have been vaccinated, already had the disease first, he has no idea. Well, wouldn't you want to study that? Because we've vaccinated so many people now. What if we vaccinated 50 million people who already had it? They all seem to do okay, but guess what? They all had worse side effects. And we measured a bunch of them, and it turns out they had enough immunity after one vaccine, not two. There are a lot of scientists who are recommending if you're going to be vaccinated after you already had it, you probably only need one. That's probably without a doubt true. Nobody even looks at the science. The people in government aren't even bothering to look because their head is in the sand. It's like, everybody just do the same. Just do as you're told.
Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, thank you so much for talking to One American News. It's good to catch up with you, sir.
Thank you.